Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I had an interesting conversation with a brother yesterday. He called me. He was interested in the overnight Qari experience, our upcoming program. But he had a couple questions. So he emailed me first, actually. I wish it was, I record, obviously it was a private conversation. I wasn't going to record it, but I felt like it was beneficial for a lot of you who have a similar concern. So I'll share with you his concern. So he emailed me first and he said that, obviously he's interested in learning to recite with a tune. But he said, I'm tone deaf, right? I'm tone deaf. And I get this a lot of times people tell me, okay, I want to learn to recite with a maqam, recite in a tune, but I'm tone deaf, right? So anyways, so I sent him a link to this thing. It's called Tone Deaf Test. You can find it. Maybe I'll put a link somewhere, above or below or whatever. tonedeftest.com, right? If you check it out, it has a bunch of exercises that you can do, and it tests whether you're actually tone deaf or not, right? And I gave that link to him, knowing from my experience that most people actually aren't tone deaf, right? To be actually truly tone deaf, that there obviously is a medical condition where people are actually tone deaf, but it's a very, very small percentage of people. Like it's hard to come by, right? Most people, what happens is that, okay, so anyways, back to his conversation. So he did the test, he got like 94% or something like that. So he's definitely not tone deaf, right? And then he got back to me and he said something of the sort like, okay, maybe tone deaf wasn't the right word. He feels that when he's reciting or when he tries to recite in a tune, it sounds like this was what he said. It sounds like a cat screeching. Okay, it sounds like a cat screeching. So I thought maybe it was something like with his voice, that his voice actually doesn't sound that great. So anyways, I got on a call with him. He's a good brother. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. But I thought to and he's actually planning to join the course, right? That's the end of that story. But my conversation with him, I thought would be beneficial for a lot of you who also feel like, wait, I'm tone deaf. Am I actually going to be able to learn how to recite in a tune, even if I take, this overnight Qari course, right? So I got on the phone with him and I got him to just read a little bit with me and then try some exercises, right? And here's the thing. He's not tone deaf and his voice does not sound like a cat screeching, okay? So we did a few exercises. If you think, okay, let's try this together. Sometimes people think they're tone deaf. If you're in that boat, let's try this. Can you tell the difference between can you tell that the sound is moving upwards, right? Or if we go in steps from can you tell that the sound is moving up and then we're moving down in pitch? If you could tell that, and especially you could even try, pause the video or repeat after me. If you can move your voice up and back down, congratulations, you're not tone deaf, right? What happened in his case, and I've seen this with a lot of students, is that there's no framework or no structure for how to structure these movements in your voice, right? So what happens, and this is like the classic, he used the term cat screeching, right? The other kind of term that we use is like a broken record, right? Where the voice is all over the place. So what happens in that case, if somebody's reciting, and it's coming, that's where there's a lack of beauty, so to speak, right? There's nothing coherent about it. There's no pattern to it. And the way, and this is not just with sound, but beauty in anything is often related to patterns, right? You look at geometric patterns that look beautiful, patterns in nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, right? And sound is an example of that. When we recite, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, right? Or you take that same pattern, recite it somewhere else, عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ. So you see the pattern is the same, but there's a structure to it. So it's coherent and it sounds beautiful. So what happened in this brother's case, and I got him on the phone to do this exercise with me, going up and going back down. He didn't do it perfectly, but definitely his voice, there was nothing like majorly wrong with his voice. It didn't sound like a cat's. Like when I heard screeching, I thought that's screeching, okay? That's a weird sound, right? Which if that was your voice, you would want to fix that. But most of us don't have a voice like that, right? Alhamdulillah. So when he said that he's tone deaf or he sounds like a cat screeching, really what's going on is that he doesn't have a framework for this structure, right? To structure his voice or to structure the sound as it goes up and come back down. So that's what I teach. I told him this is what we teach. And if you're in the beginner phase of that, where it's hard for you to hear that you're going up and hard for you to hear that you're coming down, and how much are we going up, how much are we coming down, we do have exercises to help with that. It's called ear training, where you're like building up your ear to be able to tell, like, and to be able to be precise about those movements up and movements down. So anyways, long story short, if you're worried, am I tone deaf? There's a solid chance that you're not tone deaf. There's a good chance that you need to work on improving, your sense of pitch, right? To be able to hear these spaces clearly as you're going up and down. But that's something we work on, and we work on building up a structure in your voice so that you can recite in a tune that's an easy tune to follow, that's beautiful, but it's cohesive, right? It's not right, which obviously sounds bad. And a lot of students who have gone through our program have found that they're, before they couldn't really hold a tune, or it's a little bit all over the place, up and down. And by doing these exercises, you get to a point where you can easily follow a set pattern, and it's something that sounds good. So yeah, long story short, you're not tone deaf. Overnight Qari experience details, I'll post a link somewhere and below above. And do check it out if you're interested in learning maqamat. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.